that this is happening in this way. Where are you guys? Who are you guys? Where are you? What part of the world am I reaching right now? In the chat. Tickety talk. I do think it's so interesting that TikTok is so committed to continuously showing my older videos, because that is like insane that y'all are still getting. Oh, okay, it's like, okay, we're live on Instagram now. It only took so so long, so long to get it live on Instagram. Hi, Instagram. Guys, I just want you, everybody who's watching for Instagram right now, I just want you to know that you're so special and so loved, because I've been trying to figure out how to get my multi-stream to show up over here, okay? Like, I love y'all so bad that I have been struggling for the better part of an hour to make sure that Instagram is included in the stream. But I haven't gone, yay, yeah, Kevin, I did it. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin was the first one to be like, yo, over on TikTok. So I'm like, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, and we're on Instagram. And Kevin was like, babe, you are actually not live on Instagram. And babes, that was an hour ago. That's crazy. But I figured it out. We're here now. That's all that matters. But Instagram, it was important that you got in on the stream. Kevin, are you streaming from both places? That's crazy. I love you. You are the best. Can I just tell you that? But yeah, but I wanted to, because so much has happened and so fast. Like in the last 30 days on Instagram, I've gained 20,000 new followers. And so none of y'all know what's happening with the dude. Like, who is this person? What does she do? What's the situation? And then like on TikTok, everybody's like living in the past. You guys, I don't know a lot about, well, I won't say I don't know a lot about physics. Well, I really don't. I just read books. But you know, this idea that like everything that's happening in space is in the past. It's like by the time light reaches Earth, like it left years ago. That's how I feel like TikTok is moving, because people are getting videos from like a year ago, and I'm like, that's not the vibes. That's not what's going on anymore. And so, because I feel like I've been doing different content for such a long time, and people were like still asking me about the old content. But that's all right. That's okay. Friends with several people who stream online. Me too. I'm trying to be a part of the several people so bad. The #1 gifter badge. Thank you, the shadow. Thank you for the roses. Thank you, Gabby, for the hearts. I'm gonna type over here like, I see you. But what we were talking about before I realized that I was still not live on Instagram was that society just kind of like molds people to be able to exist within society. And like a lot of times it sucks. But it's like for the purpose of efficiency. But that's the problem with like machine mass production type of whatever when it comes to applying it to human beings. It's that like there will never be like a one size fits all situation when you're categorizing people, and which is why people hate like astrology, right? They're like, this doesn't apply to me. Honestly, people hate astrology because the people who like it have turned it into something it's not. I promise we're not talking about astrology on the stream. But I gotta say it, because it's like people like, oh, so you believe in astrology. It was like, first off, saying you believe in astrology is like saying that a person believes in English. Astrology is a language system. It's a language system. It's like coded words. And so it's like when somebody says Libra, it's not about putting somebody in the box. Like quite literally, like if you read a textbook about astrology, Libra is just shorthand for socialization, equity, fairness, aesthetic, right? It's just supposed to be shorthand, and then people don't know how to handle that. It's really just like what it is. But you know, but all of that to say, people struggle with anything that categorizes them. That's why they struggle with like terminology that has to do with like mental health. Like people don't want to be put in boxes, right? Like one of my favorite sayings, what was it? It was like, what we learn from cats is that it's fun to put yourself in a box. It's not fun to be put in the box. And that's what it is. Like if somebody wants to label themselves with something, it really actually is not an invitation for other people to label them, you know? And so all of that to say, it's like, it doesn't work when you try to put people in mass categories when you go, okay, this is a woman, so this is how we should raise a woman because this is the ideal of what a woman should be. It doesn't work like that because it doesn't account for the variation of personality and personal goals and what people want for themselves. Scratch, yeah, yeah. And I mean, it goes both ways. The question was like people barely scratch the surface on astrology. It goes both ways. So people hate astrology because the people who really like it but don't go deep into it make it kind of annoying. And so if somebody's being super annoying about something, you're not really gonna want to investigate, which is why when I was teaching it, I was like, yo, this is how we understand what astrology is and isn't. It's a language system that you can decode. That's it and that's all. Okay. But yeah, but like when we're trying to assess like why society functions the way it does, it's to make people easier to govern. So it's like it's easier to take care of you if I can put you in a box. It's easier for me to support you as a citizen if I can put you in a box. And then of course society evolved and like, oh no, I can have individual thought, I can have individual ideas, I can have goals outside of what has been set for me. But society is struggling to like catch up to that because it's like, and then even if you look at something about like all the various movements within movements, it's like people don't feel seen and supported by like the larger umbrella, and then people are struggling with understanding each segment of each thing. Most famously feminism, because some people will go, oh well, feminism is, you know, feminism is getting what men have and like competing with them. And then other people are like, no, feminism is, you know, the soft life thing and being taken care of. And everybody's arguing amongst themselves. Nobody can like agree on what it is. It's because like everybody wants it to be a blanket thing. But even though we're seeing all these divisions, we can't go, okay, this, that, and the other. We can't agree on a goal. And so it's just difficult, I think, when you have all these segmentations. A box with breathing room sort of kind of, yeah, because like the thing is like when you exist within a community, and I think there's a video somewhere on my page about it, when you exist within a community, the core identity of the community group, and of course you can be in different communities, right? Those of you who downloaded the community guide PDF talked about this. There's different ways to find identity community groups, but you know, those there's different ones, but it's like the high level group, and then you can also do like niche. It's like people really struggle with what it means to be in a high level group, basically, right? So if your high level group is woman, people struggle with what that means. And so then people do niche to kind of like accomplish a little more. So they go, okay, woman, black woman, niche group with underneath woman, niche group underneath being black. Or they go, queer black woman, niche group underneath queer, niche group underneath black, niche group underneath woman, if that makes sense. You know, so. What am I reading? I haven't bought anything new lately as far as like my book, my reading ambitions. I've been rereading some things. And so I've been rereading All About Love, Bell Hooks, on and off. I've been wanting to delve back into The Gift of Fear. And so sometimes I'll just like pick up a specific section of a book based on what feels engaging and inviting. Yeah. What are you guys reading? Which I like that question because sometimes people like DM me like, what books have been super influential and and I mean to make content about it, I just don't get to it. And then over on Instagram, how is Mochi is good. Maybe not right now. He's a little pissed off probably right now because he's codependent and clearly he's not with me right now, but he's good. He's thriving. You know, he turned 10 this year, which is a big milestone for a puppy dog. I love All About Love. Me too. I feel like it's one of the few books, well, maybe not few, but maybe the few popular books that really, does justice to the idea that there has to be some equity with the way that we hold people accountable for like feminism. So it talks about, but it's also like, what's the word? It's not biased, and so it does two things. And so it will hold both men and women accountable for the way that they participate within the patriarchy, but it also does a good job of adding the nuance of why women participate in the patriarchy. So I like that. People might not care. They might be like, well, no, it's always bad. It's bad. It's bad. But I think you do have to like evaluate why something occurs, like, because the reason why a woman participate in patriarchal systems is not the same as why men do it, and the benefit's not the same. So I think you do have to discuss it. Reading Money Master the Game. What does that mean? I mean, not what does that mean, what is that about? What is that about? Is it what it sounds like, master money? Thoughts on what love meant to me. I think it's also just really important because it's like you have to define what things mean. Like the biggest issue people struggle with, like relationships and equity and love, is that nobody can get on the same accord about what the words mean. And to me, that was the most productive part of reading All About Love for me. It's like, now I can define it. So now when I say I love you, or somebody says they love me, we're talking about something. It's not vague. This is what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's, accountability. I'm saying that there's trust. I'm saying that there's security. And I think there has to be that, like, or else what are we talking about? We have to define words. A lot of people thrive on staying in gray areas. It's like, and anybody that thrives from a gray area, I don't know. I just don't think we should be connected to them for real. Even with like the story I was telling in one of my reels, one of my TikToks, about the guy that was like upset that I didn't pick up on some cues. Like, to me, that is a version of like thriving in the gray area, because it's like, if we don't know what something is and we don't define it, or it's not mutually defined, then you could just get away with murder and just like whatever it is. And I think his confusion was that I had defined it. I'm like, it's casual, so casual means X, Y, and Z. But a lot of people, if they don't define what casual means, what love and commitment means, it's like, now you can argue about what harm is and what accountability is because you didn't define it. But babe, all these things are defined for me, and you can accept it or reject it, but it is what it is if you're going to participate in a connection with me. You know what I mean? It's Financial Freedom book. And what was the second? Oh, The Gift of Fear is the other book that I was talking about. So The Gift of Fear is really interesting. So it was the book by, what was he, like the National Director of Security for like the Bush administration and maybe another one. And so he's basically talking about how violence can be predicted through people's behaviors. And so what was really wonderful about that book was that it really emphasized how the body works. It emphasized how the body works when it comes to picking up information, basically. And so it's like your brain, how they talk about we only like utilize a small percentage of our brain. And so basically what it was saying is like all that the so-called part of our brain that we don't use, it's just like subconscious information, basically. And so it's like what the body does not have time to like turn into conscious thought, we call intuition. I can't think of his name, but I'll Google it in a second. It's like it just doesn't have time. And so it's like if you walk into a space and you get a really bad vibe, or if you get fear, like the title of the book, you are feeling it for a reason. It's like, get out. It's because your body has consciously identified or unconsciously identified a threat, but it doesn't have time to tell you. It just needs you to move. It just needs you to do it. And so it's like what we call intuition, what we call like little magic. It's actually like your body recalling information that you can't give context to yet. So, but I really liked it because it was just like a really good reminder that your brain, your body is intelligent, right? And so it's like and it also kind of brought us back to feelings are not like this irrational random part of you that just randomly got thrown in when you were being created. It's like, no, everything that you have, it's actually intentional, and it's all, and everybody's intent is to keep you alive. You have feelings because you need to recognize it. It's like you can't be a fully actualized whole human being until you can really like get on board with the fact that you have feelings. And oh, so the author of The Gift of Fear is Gavin D. Becker. Gavin D. Becker. And so that was a really good read. And so, because I think so many people are so used to like shrugging off bad vibes, especially women, right? We teach ourselves to be like, it's just a bad feeling, or I'm just being ridiculous. And even though his book can be seen as kind of like a worst case scenario that not everybody's going to contend with, it's important, right? And it's just like we need to learn how to like take a feeling or vibe seriously. And a lot of times I don't know what's the word, we invalidate ourselves when something doesn't go wrong, after we have a bad vibe, when really in reality it's just a near miss. It's just that like we got out alive, it didn't go poorly, you know what I mean? And so it's like, just because like if the validation has to be that you get murked or you get got, like what's that worth, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we need to The Gift of Fear, I keep forgetting that Instagram is on a delay. The Gift of Fear, I'm just gonna put it in the chat. Gonna order now. You should. I'm not sure if I still have Linktree in my, I don't know if I added it to my bookstore, because I used to keep like a reading list in my Linktree, but I don't remember if it's still there. But yeah, just Google it or Amazon search it. It's a really good read for sure. Like, hi Paulina, did I say your name right? Paulina. I hope I said it right. Hello guys. See, this is why I used to do like guests and interviews when I was doing Roxz Talk every day, because I feel like I don't know, talking to myself, I'm not used to it. That's what it is. I'm just not used to going live, and because I'm not used to going live, I go infrequently, and because nobody knows I'm going live, nobody's here. So what I have to do is be more consistent in when I go live, and then people will be here, and it won't be like, but I have to like fill the space and talk, because it's like I'm just built like that. Thank you for the follow him. I love a book list of yours. Yeah, so my favorite, so I did this in my stories, which reminds me that I need to update my highlights on Instagram, or just tag something. So because people were like, what are your favorites? Like, where do you get all this stuff in your head from? I would love to tell you. Thank you for asking. And so like my big three are, so like The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker, All About Love, Bell Hooks, and then the third one that I keep in my bag all the time is It Didn't Start With You, which is written by Mark Wolin. And if you were following me last year, really like this time last year, on both Instagram and TikTok, I was always talking about The Gift of Fear, not The Gift of Fear. It Didn't Start With You, like, because that book just did a sensational job of kind of like pulling so many different things together that are like so necessary for just like thriving as a human being. Because so like it's promoted in its position as a book about trauma recovery, and it definitely is, but it really kind of delves into like the biology of, again, your feelings in your body. And so all of these things that just kind of teach us and remind us like feelings are not just random things. And so like, you know, even if your feelings are kind of like, it's Tori, hi baby. So even if you I got distracted because somebody I love joined the live stream. So it's like, even if your feelings are kind of like all over the place and like not an appropriate reaction, they still mean something. So it's like investigate, you know what I mean? And so it's like, just because it's bad to like, so let's just say like you're obsessing over somebody. Let's use that example. Like you're obsessing over somebody that you've broken up with or who doesn't want to be with you, right? When we say your feelings are valid and you need to follow the thread, we don't mean like blow their phone up. We don't mean call them a million. That's not what we're saying. We're saying is like investigate why you feel like you can't let that person go. It's like there are questions to ask yourself when you feel these things. That's all we're really saying, right? So it's like, I was just checking to see what you were doing. I'm just chit chatting. That's what I'm doing, Tori. Hello. Someone asked, do you have a Goodreads and have you read the 4 agreements? Do I have a Goodreads, like an account? I feel like no. So maybe the answer to that question is no. But people ask me that, especially after my book came out. But I'll have to look into Goodreads. Is that a good way for me to share a reading list with you guys? Goodreads? What do you got? Is that what you guys do? How do I share a reading list with you guys in the most efficient way? Because I feel like social media goes so fast, and so as soon as I post a story or video about it, it's just gonna disappear again. And so it's like, how do you give people YouTube? It's like, how do you get some people things that are permanent? YouTube. I'm just not. The editing beats my booty. It's like, I don't know. I like to think that I'm not an instant gratification girly, but you know, versus I can film the thing, edit it just a little bit, and post it like TikTok and Instagram. Versus I film it and I gotta edit. That's why I haven't posted. Well, there's a lot of reasons I haven't posted a new Feminine Hysteria episode in a minute, because those I do want to look good. But yeah, I don't know if you guys know, I was on the road for a very long time this year. I was traveling America. I drove across the entire West. Have you guys ever driven through the west side of this country? It's freaking scary. Nothing's out there. Like I saw a chart once that said over 50% of American citizens, maybe it wasn't even, I think it was like 70% of all citizens in America live like from like the mid-south on over, and then like there's nothing in the west. That's why, like, it's just like deserts and mountains and scary stuff. The west is scary, bro. Like, it was beautiful, but it was terrifying. There's nothing over there. My God, there's such a lack of like what's the word, civilized areas. It's like that. It's crazy. There's nothing in the west. It's how did the pioneers do it? It's like, did you guys play Oregon Trail as kids? Everything you saw in Oregon Trail was true. There's nothing over there. Goodreads, yes. Okay. I'm gonna figure out Goodreads, I guess, and maybe I'll put it in my stories once I do that. And then I need to update my highlights. As a person who does marketing, I can be kind of bad at doing my own branding, but also I just never expected Instagram to blow up like that. Like, that was crazy. I don't think you guys understand. Like, 30,000 of you over on Instagram showed up within like the last 60 days, and that is crazy. Like, this time last year, I had 9,000 followers on Instagram. Like, it was it was the weakest link. So it was like TikTok was up here with 250,000 followers, and then it's Facebook where I had like 70,000 followers, but I think it was 80,000, but Facebook is slowly figuring out that I'm not with the shit. And so people have been mass unfollowing me because, you know, we don't want to typecast, but you guys know what type of people are on Facebook. And so I got really popular on Facebook for like skits. And then I started talking about opinions, and they was like, oh, whoa, we're conservative over here. So they've been mass unfollowing me on Facebook. And then it was like way down here, it was like Instagram, which was 9. And so I could just post whatever I wanted on Instagram, no ramifications whatsoever. And then I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, the algorithm started algorithming, and it was quick. Last year, I thought it was quick because I went from like 9,000 to like 20K in like 3 months, and I was like, wow, cool. And then it just kind of like got steady. And then in like 2 months' time, 30,000 of you showed up on Instagram. And I'm like, that is crazy. This is why I'm close to deleting Facebook. For real, like it's just there for the memories. And some of the memories ain't good. I don't need to know what I looked like on this day 10 years ago. I don't. Like what, like that's all the function is over on Facebook. It's memories and like relatives that if you really wanted to keep up with them, you'd be calling them. You're not calling them for a reason. Is that bad? Can I say that? I would hate to exist in, yeah, Oregon Trail wagon days. It's crazy. Dude, I was in a first, 21st century vehicle driving across the West, and I was afraid. I was like, this is crazy. Ain't no way. Like, and my dad was telling me, he was like, I really don't think you should drive at night. I don't think you really understand what it's like to like drive across the desert. And I should have listened because my dad was a truck driver, so he's driven across America. But I'm not thinking in my head that like the highway means it's like a road and desert. I'm thinking, oh, it's a highway. I can turn off at any time and like go to a gas station. No, you can't. Turn off and get eaten by a coyote. Like, oh my God, the West is scary, y'all. Like, what? Oh my God. Thank you for the follow, Chris. Thank you for the people who sent roses. And I can't see the badges over on Instagram, but thank you if you sent a badge. It's very cute. And thank you to all the new subscribers on IG. I'm still figuring it out, but I figured since Instagram has like a 90-second limit on the reels, and I really do have a lot to say. Instead of like posting 5 reels in one day, maybe I can just post the one reel, and then all the other stuff can be subscriber content. And then also we got to figure out how to monetize it. I know like it's like what cringy when creators talk about that, but like what I put in my story the other day was true. I was like, that is crazy to think about. Like my account, so like beyond just followers, like when I look at my account, like I had over, I think it's like 1.5 million views on my content in a 30-day period. And I was like, that's crazy, because if I posted this on YouTube, it would translate into something. And so it's not about, I don't know, people say a lot of stuff. They're like, why do you deserve? Because it was my work and my effort. I don't know. That's like me coming into your job and being like, well, why do you deserve to get paid for this work? It's like, and I don't know, it's like I'm here and I'm doing the thing, and more importantly, I'm the reason why platforms like especially Instagram and TikTok can sell ads. So also please understand, like when people post stuff on social media, the apps are like monetizing them. Like the platforms are getting billions of dollars from the stuff people like me upload. And so when we talk about monetization, it's like, how about you just give us a percentage of what you're making? And like YouTube's the only one that's doing it. But it's a little more difficult to get like reach on YouTube. And I haven't figured out a good way to market it, because I feel like, no, come check me out on YouTube. It's not engaging. It's nobody's fault, right? Like I'd have to figure out like a good reason to get people from Instagram and TikTok to YouTube. You have to have a good reason to leave the app. I'm not mad at that. Like if you're scrolling, you're not trying to go, it's fine. But I was like, I have to figure out a really inciting way to get people to go, okay, this was cool, now I want to check out YouTube, but I haven't done that yet. And so in the meantime, I think the easiest thing for me to do is to upload the extended version of my Yap to Instagram subscriptions. And I do like that. I wish TikTok had that option. But because like right now there's like 2 like basically 10-minute videos, and then I have another one that I'll upload later. Your work, exactly, that's it. I'm sharing something that's valuable and that people value. And so it's like, and then the platform is making money off of it, so they should pass the check along. But I'm very thankful that there are people who are willing to subscribe via Patreon and IG subscriptions. I love you. You're the best. And so it is kind of like, if there's a demand for it and people are willing to tap in, why not? So that's where the long extended yaps are gonna go. On the baddies. Thank you, Dragona. Did I say that right? Oh my goodness, I love that. And so it's just such a day. I have like a lot of feelings. Mostly it's like, I mean, nothing was ever gonna, guys. I don't know. I posted a while back that I'm really just like trying to figure out how to relearn both piano and singing. So if you don't know, I had long COVID, and like for the longest, I couldn't even talk without wheezing. And so this ideal of having to relearn how to sing has been dragging me. And then like I got a cold for a while, and so it's like I don't actually even want to record vocals right now. So I just come here to like practice not feeling completely terrified of singing anymore, because I was like, wow, um, the singer who just yaps. But I feel a little better about it because a lot of singers do it apparently. Like Jennifer Hudson has a talk show, Kelly Clarkson has a talk show. So apparently, when you're a singer, yapping is your next best profession. Oh my God. Um, but yeah, and so I was like, let's just practice going live again, getting back in the group. I didn't even check. You see, I have like zero faith that anybody's even over on YouTube. I have not checked the comment section there once, but really, this just needs to be a replay over there. I'm like, look, if Shira can just upload her live streams as YouTube videos, why not? Why not? Because, like, why not? But what we were talking about before, like hour and a half ago when I was trying to figure out Instagram was the not the just the Chelsea situation is just so interesting to me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she just yaps for like hours on end, and people repost the clips. So it's like, why not? If I hate editing too, so why not? um, but yeah, I really just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like maybe people are being obtuse. Maybe they genuinely don't understand. But the conversation, it's okay to like dump all your stuff on people or your partners, but it's like we do have to evaluate where stuff comes from. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't know how to get people to understand it, but it's like I've been on both sides of it. Look, and now I'm looking at, okay, I was frozen on not YouTube, Instagram for a moment, but she's back. Hello, Katie. I see you moving. But I don't know how to get people to understand it because, like, I've been on both sides of it. And so the example that I really like is that, I have a family member who habitually feels very upset um, about something that I feel like is silly, doesn't make sense. But what it comes down to is like it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense to me what they're upset about to a degree, or at least we'll add a nuance later. But it doesn't matter if it makes sense to me, because the value point is that I want to make this person feel safe because I care about them, their family member, right? And so it's like sometimes she will have really big, maybe even if you want to call it unjustified reactions to me. And it's like, I don't like it and it makes me uncomfortable. It makes me angry sometimes. But it's like the easiest way to get to a solution is to let her have it, because usually what will happen after the big thing happens is that if you give people the space to feel safe and being afraid or feeling hurt, not everybody, but usually they will come back down to earth and kind of acknowledge how big the reaction was. What she does, she'll like, and that's what we agreed upon after it just kept happening. Because I was like, look. What you can't do is like get big, and then like not tell me what's going on or come back later. I was like, that can't be a thing because I'm just gonna feel like you're attacking me out of nowhere. But what you can do is go big, and go, I don't want to talk about it right now, but I'm upset, because at least then I know there's an issue, and then we can come back and fix it. And that's the other part of it. And so it's like the validation of like, I don't agree with what you got upset about, but I don't want you to be upset. So tell me what the trigger was, and because I love you and I value you, I'm gonna pay attention to it. So it's not about walking on eggshells, but it is about communication. And so if it is that somebody is being triggered by something that's just you, and that's just how you move and that's how you operate, then maybe you do separate. But if it's something that's like easy enough to fix, you fix it, right? And so like that's what the conversation about Chelsea really is. It's like validation. It's like giving a person who might be traumatized, who might have a little anxious attachment, the opportunity to grow through letting them know it's safe for them to react, it's safe for them to feel, it's safe for them, all of that. It doesn't mean absorb, because again, like in the example of my family member, I was clear, like, look, you're not gonna just be throwing it on me, but I want you to feel safe. And so like when you have those big feelings, have it, but do come when the bubble bursts and you realize that like you're safe, because that's what it is. People have to react until they realize they're safe. And so when the bubble bursts and you feel safe again, come back and tell me what happened, okay? And I also need you to be a little understanding that until you tell me what happened, I might feel upset or I might feel attacked. And so you do have to see a little bit of the other side and like, okay, I had a big reaction. Katie didn't like it, or it hurt Katie's feelings. And until I can communicate what happened, then it's going to be weird, right? But the agreement that we make up front is that like, hey, when you have the big thing, I won't bother you until you're ready to talk. But also, you do need to talk, right? Because we can't do the thing where you throw all the stuff on me and it doesn't get resolved. Do you guys know what I mean? And so it's like I feel like that's the part that's missing from the conversation with the Chelsea thing. And so we're not saying that Chelsea's right and that's the best way to manage, and that she doesn't need assistance and doesn't need help. But it's like it's really hard for a person to get to a point where what's the best way to say it, they can communicate properly what's wrong if there's not a safe space to do that, right? Because think. I think we've all had experiences where we've had our feelings or the way we feel shut down. And what happens when somebody repeatedly shuts your feelings down, or even if it's not the same person? If you grow up and people are constantly shutting your feelings down, what happens? It's you almost like lose the language. You lose the ability to like talk about it, because it's like this fear that's met with rejection, that's met with harm. And so like if you grow up in an environment where somebody's always telling you your feelings are stupid, when you finally get to a place where it's okay to talk about your feelings, do you think you will know how to? That's my question. Do you think you'll just magically? So it's like all your life, you've never, ever, ever been allowed to talk about your feelings. It's always shut up. Your feelings are wrong. Feelings are stupid. And so do you think you will magically know how to communicate the way you feel when it's safe to do it? And so it's not about absorbing anxious or traumatized people's BS, because I mean, over on Instagram, I'm like fussing people down all the time for having crazy reactions to me. And so it's not about that. It's about really just acknowledging the fact that there's a gap. There's a gap. Love is blind. There's a gap, right? And so everybody's like, she should just communicate. She probably can't, because she's never been in a safe space to do it, right? You have to practice it. I actually, funny enough, I struggle with it. Like it's when it's theory, right? Like when I'm just talking about something on the internet or something that I read, or even like writing music, that's easy. But in the moment when I have to have big conversations with people who are actively hurting my feelings, it's like my brain goes blank, right? And also it's hard to think in a crisis. And every time somebody hurts your feelings, it might not actually be a crisis, but does your brain know that? If your brain's been taught that hurt feelings feel like an emergency, like I just think we expect a lot of people and we expect a lot of ourselves, and I just don't know if it's fair. You know what I mean? It's like You got to build the muscle of communication and feel it, but you have to feel safe to do it. Feel safe to do it, which goes back to the example of my family member. And so again, when she has her big little, it's not that I feel like I deserve those things, but I know she has to feel safe to feel those things and express those things before she can build healthy communication with me. If I'm constantly like, this is stupid, that's not gonna help. That's gonna further mess up her ability to communicate and to communicate, specifically communicate with me, right? Like, you can't do that to people if you have decided to commit to a relationship with them, whether that's friendship, family, or romantic. The problem is, because somebody asked me about like, why don't you aren't more patient with people in your comment section? I'm not committed to you. As a random person who has found my account and decided to attack me for something I didn't say, I'm not committed to making you feel safe. I didn't tell you that. You deserve, your feelings are valid. You deserve to be heard by somebody, and I'm not promising you that somebody is me. You have to take that somewhere else. But for the people in my life, that's different. Like, and it's hard, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's levels too. So nobody's saying that it's always correct to like tussle because your feelings are hurt, but it makes sense. It makes sense, guys. It makes sense. My goodness. Thank you for the likes over on TikTok. Thank you, babies. I called myself trying to figure out where the other. I wish they would put the chat in one place on Streamlab. We'll figure it out though. But yeah, it's like, y'all want people to be perfect, and then also they vet people like this on, what does that button mean? What is that? Audio is playing. Okay, I'm just gonna stop touching stuff because I don't know what's happening. I'm gonna mess up the stream again. Dios mío. Do you guys have questions? You can ask questions, because sometimes it's just easier for me to find the thought when I'm like talking to people. Or maybe I should have gone through the comment section over on Insta and responded to stuff there. Hold on. Where But yeah, I can't figure out what I was trying to do. But yeah, that's the only thing we're talking about with baby Chelsea. We're not saying she doesn't need to figure out a better way. We're just saying you gotta make a triggered person feel a little safe before you expect them to do some heavy lifting, heavy work, all of that. You know what I mean? And I feel like, okay, first off, people get really upset when I make analogies to like dogs. They're like, that's patronizing. I was like, but I really feel like people only think it's patronizing because they don't respect animals. I respect animals, so it doesn't feel patronizing to me when I make the example. But the example I was about to make, people get it when we're talking about dogs. They'll go like, okay, he's reactive because he has trauma, and so you got to give him space and time to figure it out. You can't just call him a bad dog because he doesn't know what's happening and all. I mean, like, traumatized people are not different. And then it's also a similar thing when we start talking about children. There's like whole adult. I was gonna say adult, and then I started to say grown. A grown. There are whole adult people who struggle with expressing themselves, but we want to beat up children for making mistakes or not knowing how to communicate. I think that's like the biggest issue I have with people who like tussle with children for being children. Like, children will be out here like developing motor skills and they're like across the face because they drop something. Like, yeah, they're trying to figure out how to what, and it's like we yell at children and hit them and all this other stuff for developing, and then we wonder why people have such an aversion to making mistakes, where there's so much fear. Like, so much of how we raise human beings, at least in America, is so like based in fear. And I don't understand how we can't see the connection between that and the problems in society. Yeah, I mean, uh, that's crazy. This person is definitely getting blocked. You see what I mean? Like, people will say like crazy things to you for, like, that's crazy. Blocked. um, that's crazy. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. It's like, you definitely have to go. And the other person who left the actual comment, rewrite it, because when I went to go block that person, it reloaded. But I think you asked about astrological signs. Funny enough, when I thought I was live on Instagram but wasn't, I was kind of talking about that. Astrology is like, it's not something to believe in. It's a language system. It's a language system, which means it's like a shorthand for like communicating longer ideas, and it's a time tracking system. So it's not really something to believe in or not believe in, if that makes sense. It's like believing in a watch. It's just like a system, a way to tell time, basically, if that makes sense. It's like counting the shade, like different happenings. It's like anthropology, basically. It's like sociology and anthropology meets time tracking, basically. And so it's like, it's not, oh, if somebody is a Libra, then like, they'll be super social and a little back and forth. It just means that somebody made an observation that people born on that specific time of year experience X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense? And that's why a lot of times you can't get like an accurate sense of anything until you have a whole chart, right? And so it's like every Virgo sun is in the same, because they all have different moons. And then every Virgo sun and Virgo moon who have the same moon, they have a different Mars. And so that's it. I think a lot of it is American. Like, not to say that other places in the world are like better, but it's like if you talk to enough people, like, even if you don't travel, like, if you just talk to enough people, listen to them tell their stories, like, a lot of what we experience in America is not common everywhere. Like, I don't know, like, there's stuff that like I talk to like friends and former classmates about, and they're just like, what on earth is that? My grad school, I lived on or studied on an international campus, which means that like only like 30, maybe 40% of the students were American. I want to say my graduating class, they said, had like 60 or 70 different countries represented. Maybe this might not be the most accurate, but you know what I mean. So like the majority of the people that I was in school with when I was in grad school were from other countries, and that was such a culture shock, but in a good way. But it's like, I know like we want to say like it's not just an American, a lot of things are just an American thing. It's like some of the stuff, again, like other countries aren't perfect, clearly, but when it comes to just like everyday stuff, like loving your children, like people aren't struggling with that in other countries. Like, like if somebody posted a video right now, or more specifically, if a father posted a video of him like hugging his son and kissing him on the forehead, people would lose their minds. in America. And there's places in this world where people are like, yeah, he loves his child, right? Like, like a lot of it is American. It's uniquely American. Yeah. And so it's like, I don't know. Like some of the stuff is like, America, but honestly, I feel like America does it on purpose. Everything from us being the only ones who don't use the metric system, the fact that like, what is it, the universal time code, or what we in America call military time, is like, or even the way we do our dates, where like the month comes first in front of the date, that from the way that we're socialized. Americans are groomed to stay in America. Americans are groomed to be incompatible with people of other nationalities. It's to keep you here, babes. It's to keep you here. And to keep this, because like if too many people realize that this was crazy, the fear isn't that you'll leave, it's that people will unite and revolt. And so that's where the individualism crisis comes from. They need you to be different enough to where nobody can agree that the government needs to change. Just different enough, right? Just different enough. Like, just like each other enough to support a candidate, a bill, or whatever. But they need you to be just different enough to blame societal issues on each other and not the people who can actually change it. So, yeah, like somebody over on Instagram commented about like the gun violence epidemic. Yeah, this stuff is not like happening in other places, not at the same rate. Like, it's just not. It's just not like the stuff that we talk about over here, arguments about like loving your child and loving your wife is like something people argue about in America. That's crazy. Loving the person you married and decided to join your life with, that's an argument. American culture is toast. 5, 6, 7. Okay. 5, 6, 7. But yeah, I mean, okay. But yeah, maybe what we'll do is we will create a regular time to meet here, and we'll do the live stream, especially now. I feel like I've watched too many of these I'm gonna use live streams to pay off my like debt, and it be working. I'm like, look here. Because of course last year on TikTok there was the girl who paid off of, what was it, $24,000 in student loan debt through TikTok live roses gifting. And then last week there was the girl who said she was gonna try it. So, because she just had $7,000, and by day 3, she had $3,000. And I'm thinking about my car. I'm like, I only have $3,000 left on my car. I don't know. Like, I have to figure it out. You telling me that in 3 days, potentially, if the algorithm F's with me just a little bit, that car can be like paid in full, and I can have one less bill on my hands. I don't know, man. IDK. I don't know. And then, like, no disrespect to the girl who was like raising 7,000. She was just sitting here. I think a lot of people thought like the Etch-a-Sketch fundraiser was one thing because she was like taking requests, but the girl who was like raising 7,000, she was just like this the whole stream. Sometimes I look at stuff like that, I was like, Katie, it's too much personality. Do less. I remember the first time I went to a live show or I was invited to do a live show. So the first time I had been invited or booked for a show in the 3 figures, so I wasn't being paid a lot. But it was the first time I had even ever been promised a 3-figure payment for performing live. I got there, and the guys going on before me were lip syncing. They were rappers, but they were lip syncing. And I just, it did something to me. I was like, I'm out here singing live, trying, effort, energy, just to get paid the same thing as somebody who's lip syncing. That radicalized me a little bit, because like one thing about me, I ain't got nothing to prove, especially in an event like that. I was like, so we getting paid the same thing for you to lip sync. And I was like, look, I'm not out here trying to prove to anybody that I'm Adele or Beyonce. I was like, I need to start lip syncing too. Hi Mayada. I love that you joined right as I started talking about that, because Mayada got vocals for days, guys. For days. One of my favorite artists. 100% top to bottom. In fact, I was playing Mayada. Am I saying your name correct? Is it Mayada or Mayada? I don't want to mispronounce it or mislead people. But I was playing you today on my way to this location. What was Unapologetically? That's one of my like hype songs, I guess you could say. Mayada, got you, baby. It's locked in now. That's one of my hype songs. And so like when I'm like focusing in on just like keeping my energy here, I will play the freak out of Unapologetic. Like it's a mantra. It's a da, 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 da. Like I stand here and be like, baby, it's good. It's good. Like lyrically, just one of my favorite songs of all time. Like I love that. But yeah, big brain energy. Because also, let's be for real, it wasn't a performance that was progressing my career at all. It wasn't that. It wasn't like I needed to go up there, and if I did really good, something positive. I mean, I don't want to say you shouldn't give your all the time, because you never know who's watching, okay? That's what I'm going to say. You never know who is watching. You never know who's in the room. But I didn't care that much about the room, not gonna lie. Like it was really, I don't want to say it because I am on live, but let's just say it like this. It was kind of like some organization that I don't mind supporting wanted me to go do a thing in representation of a thing. And so it was just kind of like, I'm gonna just throw this real quick, and you are giving me money. But it was like, I was just like, wow, doing too much. How I got here was like, I was talking about, last year, the Etch-a-Sketch babe who like raised like the $20,000, like that happened. And that felt probably like really unattainable for people, because they were like, I don't have a thing that people can request for me. But like this year, there's the girl who was like, I just need to raise 7,000. And so she started doing live streams, and I was like, she was doing nothing, like not an Etch-a-Sketch, not a conversation. She was in this live like this, counting roses. She was like, thank you for the rose. Thank you for the rose. And I was like, wait a second. I was like, I didn't know it was like that. I didn't know it was like that. I don't know how to get like, yeah. So I was like, I've been yapping nonstop for an hour. 2 roses. Thank you for the 2 roses. But I was like, I need to rework the strategy, because I was like, she raising 7,000. I was like, I got 3K that I just need to get rid of. I was like, I would love to sit here and and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I stand her. Like, so that's not like a criticism. I'm just like, how do I get on the same level? How do I do that? Oh, my auntie joined. Hi, Leora. I was contemplating how to do less for more. It's like, what do I have to do to do less and get a whole lot more is the question. Because I was like, that's amazing. But yeah, her fundraiser went so quickly. She by day 3, she had raised $3,000 hanging out. So I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I feel like if I made the same video with the goal, I don't know what the algorithm would do, because it's here, it's there. I feel like on Instagram it'd be one thing, but on TikTok is hit or miss. I don't know. I was like, but I need to figure it out. Yeah, it's a little rough. I do think, as I was saying earlier, there's something to be said for when you go live and how often you do it, right? Because I think regardless of an algorithm, if the people who love you know when you're going live every day, they're going to come because they love you. And so it's like part of it for me anyways. I know it's just like doing something consistently, but I don't know that daily lives are my jam, because my energy doesn't work like that. I was doing that back in 2017, but I'm not who I was energetically back in 2017 anymore, so I don't know that I could ever commit to doing that. But I was like, but even if it's like once a week, like my mutual Chloe Chloe goes live like on Friday nights, and that's it. Every Friday night at 7 Central, she's clocking in, you know what I'm saying? And like people know. So I think it's not necessarily consistently like it has to be every day. I think it's just consistent and like people know what to expect and when to expect it. That's it. Algorithm giveth and taketh away, but I think when you give your audience the opportunity to support you and you tell them how, I think they do it. It's a little hard to give them the message sometimes because the algorithm won't do the thing, but you know, I think people will try. um, but yeah, she is on to something. I can't say over on Instagram, she is on to something. It's like, how do I do more for less? But yeah, I think, and I really just am glad that I figured out this multi-stream. I was like, I need to figure out how to stream in multiple places, and I think I've done that successfully. So how do I even get out of it over? Okay,